Beth, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Bodie?
Here.
Mrs. Gebhardt?
Here.
Mr. Doucet? Mrs. Matney?
Here.
Ms. Wassman?
Here.
Stand for the pledge.
Oh, they moved it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, we have minutes to approve from our meeting in August. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Beth, can you call the roll?
Mr. Bodie?
I'll abstain.
Mrs. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mrs. Matney?
Aye.
And Ms. Wassman?
Aye. Okay, next is a hearing of guests in the public. Is there anyone who would like to speak before the board today? And if so, I ask that you state your name and address before doing so. No? Okay. Then we will move on to our presentation on the college and high school counselor. Welcome.
Full disclosure, Angie told me she's hungry, so I need to hurry. I don't know if I was supposed to say that or not.
It's okay.
It's all right?
It's all right. It's September. We're fine.
Yeah. Connected here. All right, everybody. Well, it's good to see you. Move it up. We are going to be talking about the college and high school counselor 11-12 position, college and high school counselor position. We are in full swing, as I was just telling Mr. Bodie here. Week 5 of the school year, it's been a great start. All the classes are in full swing, extracurriculars, clubs. It's nice in the summer to get some organizing done, but to really see the staff working with the students and everything is what we're here for. So it is truly a special year. We have a great group of seniors and on down, lots of leaders in the building really taking over from the student side. It's really great to see. Our student services team, as we spoke about last year, is a very, very important, has a very, very important role in our student success outside of the classroom, inside of the classroom, beyond the high school walls. And we have done a lot of shifting, a lot of adding, a lot of maneuvering, and to see that in full swing, or almost in full swing, as we get moving with these new positions and new roles, has been truly special. It's been truly great start to the year with that department as well. You're going to be hearing from Stephanie Drugan today, who's a crucial part of that team. And just getting feedback, I just had a meeting with 20 students, freshmen through seniors, and she's been working with a lot of seniors, as she's going to tell you already, within these first 4.5 weeks on a one-on-one level. And just to hear the personalization of those conversations from those students was truly amazing that's happened so far. But with our school counselors, we have Brian Stork, as you know, and Stephanie Drugan. We have our career workforce coordinator, Devin Albright, Jolene Wheatley as well, mental health therapist, and then we also have Kelly Berlin, our school psychologist. We've had several meetings already this year, just kind of getting on the same page with some things, but it is a true collaboration piece at the high school. It's just really great to see. Stephanie, I'm going to brag on you a little bit. Just the way she has hit the ground running, starting this summer, coming in all the time, getting things going, truly, truly living out our mission and our vision as a district. She's taken that in full stride and has really embodied what we stand here for at Grandview Heights High School, but also as a district. Her experience, her wealth of knowledge, as you will see, and I'm putting you on the spot, but as you will see, is truly amazing, and our kids are truly, truly going to benefit from what she brings to our team. I will quit talking now and introduce Stephanie Drugan.
Thank you. All right, before I get started, I did have a little extra handout if you don't mind passing it down. Thank you. So before I really get into things, I wanted just to take a minute and just say thank you guys all. And thank you for just the warm welcome from the community and the students. I've been at multiple school districts. This is the warmest welcome I've ever received, and it's just been so lovely. I really appreciate it. And then I also just wanted to take a minute. I know when my contract got up, I don't know who exactly it was, but 2 of you, I think, came in early to sign it. And I just wanted to say thank you, because that's not something that's normal. And it was just really nice for me just to, have that peace of mind and that excitement. So thank you guys for doing that early. I appreciate it. All right, so this is me and some of my favorite people. This is my daughter, Felicity. She is 8. She's going into 3rd grade, and my husband, Dylan. And this is just us at some of our favorite places. My first day coming in, I just dropped off some stuff, and Felicity discovered the Bobcat outfit, and the secretary said, "You should put this on," and she was into it, and so she is very excited that I'm here. And then that's a picture of us at Disney World, which is one of our favorite places, and then also at Notre Dame for a football weekend. Both my husband and I are graduates, and we're very proud of that and excited about it. And unfortunately, Felicity is an Ohio State fan, and so she likes to rub that in our faces whenever she can and cheer for the opposite team of, whoever Notre Dame is playing. So makes it for fun Saturdays in our house. Just a little bit about my experience. I've been a counselor for 18 years. This is my 19th year. The last 9 years I spent at New Albany High School. I went to Notre Dame for undergraduate, and then I have my school counseling degree and my principal's license, both from Dayton. I love visiting colleges. Both my parents were school counselors, and so we started visiting colleges when I was in 5th grade, which is very unusual. And I got to see 50 colleges before I was a senior in high school. And luckily, it's just been a passion that I've been able to continue and enjoy. And my husband used to work in admissions and also coach college soccer, so luckily he's very helpful and loving when we have our family vacations, that we can usually sneak in a stop or two at a college. I've also been a presenter at our state conference. So OACAC is the Ohio Association for College Admissions Counseling. It's kind of our large organization that helps oversee a lot of our professional development. So I've presented at that conference twice. I was actually just at our articulation today at Ohio Wesleyan. So that's always a great resource. Of the schools that I've worked at in the past, one of them that's really of note and kind of close to my heart is working at Fairfield Career Center. I spent 4 years there, and it was a really great experience to help students, figure out what they want to do, but also see them work in a hands-on environment. And we got to have a lot of career, conversations, which was really great. And it's really helped just, my career and when I'm working individually with students about what they want to do. And it was just really good. So luckily, I feel like I'm bringing a lot of experience both on that college side and that career side to this position. Just some initial goals that I kind of made for myself as we started this school year off. The biggest thing I wanted to focus on right off the bat was just building relationships with students and their families. And then the second one was really just more increasing their accessibility to different things, and then kind of also modernizing the processes that we have in student services. So as of yesterday, I have met individually with all of the senior class, which I'm really excited about. They've been just so wonderful to work with and so interesting and unique and just very mature, and it's been lovely to talk to them about what their thoughts are for after high school. I've invited all the parents to meet with me at all those appointments as well. And then I've also had 2 presentations in the evening so far. One was on the college process for seniors, and the other one was about financial aid. So we've really hit the ground running in the department. Just some things that we're looking at making a little bit easier for the students. We are having them register for college visits on School Links, and so what happens is we will have a number of colleges want to visit us here and talk to the students about their individual college that they're representing. In the past, students would have to come down and sign up on a legal pad down in the student services, and we've been able to kind of modernize that a little bit and let them sign up electronically. So if they're at home 10 o'clock at night and they're, on school links or working on their college applications, they can just do that right from their home. I've also set up a system where students can book appointments electronically using Google Calendar. So again, when they're working on something at night or over the weekend and they realize, oh, I don't know how to do this, or I need help, they can just book an appointment. It syncs right with my Google Calendar so they can see exactly when I'm available. So that's been really nice, and all the students have really enjoyed having that accessibility to my schedule. We're also going to make sure that all the scholarships are going to be listed electronically this year, and all of them will be on school links, again, trying to make it more of a one-stop shop for students. And then we're also going to do a scholarship workshop for students second semester. When I went into the classroom and did a college admissions presentation for seniors, I did this little poll at the end, like asking them what they needed help with. And that was the biggest one that they said that they wanted some more assistance with. So we're going to do that in the second semester. I'm really proud and really excited about the number of colleges we have coming to visit. In past years, I don't know exactly how many schools, but I've gotten the estimates anywhere from like 6 to 20. Right now we have 58 colleges coming so far, and we're getting more bookings every day, which is really exciting because I'm really hoping to expose the students to a lot of different types of schools, in-state, out-of-state, big, small, public, private, all of those things. So I was able to set up a system called Rep Visits, which is just a website that the college reps can go to, and again, they can book visits with us electronically, and so if they're in their pajamas at 10 o'clock at night working on their schedule for work, they can go ahead and do that. So the important part about this is usually the admissions person who's going to be reading the student's application. And so it really gives the students a chance to meet these people one-on-one or in a really small group, and get a lot of more information about the college, but also for the admission rep to start to get to know them, which is really important in this day and age with selective college applications. This is just a little example of some of the schools that are coming. I did give you guys a list just so you could see if you're interested. I tell the students I'm kind of a college geek, and a geek and nerd are the best words in my language, so I get really excited about this. So yeah, we have a lot of them coming. We've got 2 Ivy League schools coming and Vanderbilt, and we've also got schools that maybe students haven't been exposed to, like FIT and Stevens and Hofstra, which is really great. And we also have Aveda Institute coming to speak with anybody interested in cosmetology, which is really exciting. And I actually talked to them today, and I told them we already have at least one student who's going to be coming down. We're also encouraging the military to come in and visit with our students. As of Monday, we already had 3 different entities come in, and I got to sit down and talk with all of them, and we had a lot of interested students, which was wonderful. I think they were very excited to be able to meet in a smaller group with students as well. So just some upcoming projects that I have going on. On September 20th, I'm going to be doing some professional development for teachers during our staff meeting about letters of recommendation, why they're important in the process, what different types of formats they can use now. A lot of teachers aren't exposed to that as much, so there's some different formats that will make their time a little bit more efficient. And then just kind of some do's and don'ts of what to do. I'm hoping to run an ACT prep class for the juniors on February 5th. Where they can get some help just learning some of the strategies and contents for that test. In our college admissions landscape, most schools are test optional right now, but that seems to be kind of tilting back. And I just have a little bit of a hunch that some of our heavy hitter schools may start turning to test required again. And I want to make sure that the juniors have more opportunities to be prepared in case that ACT score is needed for admissions. Some of the schools, like Dartmouth and Brown, just announced in late April for this year's senior class that they were going to be test required, and that doesn't give those seniors a lot of time. So I want to try to help the juniors out, kind of as soon as we can with that. We're also going to have students use school links to build a resume. We'd like to kind of have that be a standard practice where all of the kids get exposure to that and all of them have resume by the time they graduate. Schoollinks has a great feature where kids can input their information and Schoollinks will format a resume for them. So they don't have to worry about spacing and bullets and all that. They just have to put the information in there. And then they can just update it as they go throughout the years. This is also great for teachers because our teachers can look right at this resume or profile on Schoollinks. So when they need to write a letter of recommendation, it's already right in the system for them and they don't have to ask for anything additional from the student. And then again, like I mentioned, we'll be doing a workshop for scholarship searches in the second semester. That's a quick version from me, but hopefully you got a lot of information. Does anybody have any questions?
Go ahead.
Come on, Bodie.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And glad to hear about all that. Sounds like you're jumping right in, which is great to see.
Yeah.
My question is, like, your impression of us stepping in. I'm sure you've looked at, what some of the results from past years, and just wondering if, like, from your experience, your background, I'm interested, from New Albany comparison, looking at where kids have applied, how many have gone to, college options versus other options, where they've gotten in, that sort of thing. Is it sort of exactly what you expected, or are there any things that kind of caught your eye about that? Either good or bad, I mean, just,
Yeah, I think what's maybe surprised me the most, and I probably shouldn't be surprised by it, but it's refreshing as a counselor to see students interested in a spectrum of different things. In some of my previous positions, a lot of kids would be very, like, it was pretty much your pre-med or your engineering. And in meeting with the seniors, like, I have a student who wants to major in English. I have one for math. I have 2 for interior design. I've got at least 1 for cosmetology. I've got 2 that are going to be working in a carpentry field. Like, it's just really exciting, the breadth and depth of their interests. And I'm also excited that a lot of the kids are maybe a little bit more open to looking at a smaller college, which is typically different than some of my experience in the past. A lot of kids will really look at some of those larger schools that we kind of know about. So it's been really nice to hear some of the kids say, like, Allegheny and Slippery Rock, and, like, about those schools? That's great, So yeah, it's been really good. I'm looking forward to seeing how this application cycle, comes out, seeing as far as, like, where they go and who gets in and all of that. But I've been pretty impressed with, some of the places that our kids have gone last year and just where they're looking this year. And just excited that a lot of them are really owning the process and are excited about it for them and not necessarily worried about comparing themselves to their peers, which again is also a little different than some of the places I've worked. So yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of diving deeper into that and seeing, some of that. But it's been a great experience so far. Yeah.
great to have first impressions.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is your work, because you are a college and high school counselor, you do not work with children possibly going into an apprenticeship, trade school things, or is that you?
So I think
'Cause that's where I'm like, who's
who's doing what? Yeah.
Right.
So I will definitely be helping them and working with them, whatever their post-secondary plan is.
Okay.
If they're a senior or a junior,
Mhm.
I'm going to be working with them. The great thing now that we have Devin is
Okay.
that she can help with that as well. And so we've actually already tag teamed a little bit with some of our kids. We've had some parents come in and ask to meet with her. We've had some come in and ask to meet with me. And whenever we see that maybe there's some overlap, we'll just bring the other person into it and say, hey, you want to meet with me? I'm meeting with them on Thursday. So we've already sat down with at least 2 or 3 families jointly together, which has been great. And then, of course, we're just always like sharing references and resources back and forth. So, when she heard about this opportunity that's in October for kids looking at remodeling houses, she shared it with me. I told my kids about it. When I saw them, she told them about it. So they're kind of getting a dual approach, which is really great and helpful to have it from 2 different people.
Mhm. Does it?
Yeah.
4-year colleges can be an amazing experience. It's not necessarily for every child in our school, so it's how how can we set our students up for success no matter where their path is? And like your enthusiasm is very refreshing. I love a college nerd, to use
Yeah.
your own words,
Yeah.
but it's also, it's not for everybody. And there's so much out there in the world, so it's good to see where, kind of who's wearing the hat, and that the hats comes in all shades, but everybody's wearing that hat, if I
Yes.
can make more euphemisms.
Yes.
But thank you for that work.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I really enjoyed my time at the Career Center because I really got to, dive deep into that with students and
Right.
see how those opportunities really can change their lives, and not only their lives, but their families' lives. And I have several of my former students who are making six figures 2 years out of high school. And well, that's important, but they're also really happy, which is more important than the dollar signs, right? But they're getting to do something they really like doing. They're happy. They're being successful. It's just really exciting. So I enjoy being able to kind of do all of those, whether it's, trades and apprenticeship or military or, gap year even is really exciting just to look at too, some of the different opportunities that kids, think about. So yeah, anything that has to do with like what their journey is after school, I just love helping with it.
I appreciate your enthusiasm.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for all that you've done.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know Devin's gonna be presenting, I think, in 2 months and everything, but her passion that you're saying with everything is equal with Devin. And so like, and she came to me with an idea 2 days ago about, how we have kids sign up for college visits, we have pre-planned absences. She was like, what do you think about providing that same opportunity for job shadowing? I was like, absolutely. So she, the process is important for all those things, to provide those same opportunities for every student, no matter what you want to do. And so she's in the process of kind of developing that, the forms you gotta fill out, complete, you need to contact. But part of our job, the main office and everything, this year, and especially the beginning of this year, is communicating with students on who's doing, like overly communicating every meeting, like here's who's doing what, because it is a change.
Right.
So, but it's exciting to see.
And that's the change that I think for I'm like, Kevin's not here, but the five of us up here, like, we know, but we don't know. And we know that we've heard it, but then it's like, when you're up here, I'm like, wait, is that you? Is that you? Is that you? So just the who does what. Thank you for
Yeah.
answering that question, even though
Sure.
it might not have been quite yours, but thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
And I speak to this because I'm going to be giving the teaching and learning update. And in it, Angie shared during our last meeting about the pressure and stress that comes with college. So I know you're well-versed on this. So I'm wondering what your best practices are, knowing that like the mental health of our students is part of our strategic plan. So how will your department address those triggers?
Yeah, it definitely can be a really stressful year. But I always, try to start off with saying like, we know this can be a stressful year. It does not necessarily have to be, and there's things that you can do to help relieve some of that stress. And then of course, just always letting them know, like, we're here if you need to talk about anything, whether it's college applications or whether it's social emotional, anything. So I think because that is such an important piece, as I'm doing my individual counseling, asking particular questions about, where the student is or what's, helpful for them or what's not so helpful for them or what particularly stresses them out, is really important. Because I don't want them to get overwhelmed, and it can be very easily to do that. So, I'll ask them things about, usually at the end of the appointment, I'm always like, what questions do you have for me? What can I help you with? And every senior has pretty much said something, which is great. And so then I'm like, okay, you're worried about your essay. Why don't you bring it in and show it to me? Or, you're worried about your activities list. You can't get the wording right. Why don't you draft it up and then come back and we'll talk more about it? Or you don't know what you want to do? That's okay. Because a lot of people don't know what they want to do, and they may not tell you as a friend or a peer,
Right.
because they, have to kind of present that we all know what we're doing. We all have it put together. And so I just always let them know, like, nobody really knows exactly what they want to do. 75% of you are going to change your mind anyway about what you're going to major or what you're going to do. And, and that's okay. That's part of the process and part of the experience. So I try to make sure that, you know, they're doing okay and give them, you know, questions, but then also like little tips about, well, make an inventory of a spreadsheet with everything that's due, and when you have done it, turn it green and not red, and just little things like that. They're like, oh, I didn't think about a spreadsheet, you know? So it's just, you just kind of see where they are and then see maybe what they need, because it can be really stressful. And I still remember turning my college applications in the day, and, you know, how much work went into them and how stressful it was, and waiting for the answers and all that, so,
That's great.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Just, excuse me, just curious, when it came to soliciting, you know, from parents, whether or not they want to meet with you, what has been the uptake on that? How many people?
I've had
decided-
so many families come in, which is really exciting. I've probably had the most families I've ever had in my whole career come in, which has been lovely. And like I've always just told the parents, like, it's an open door. Anytime your kid wants to come in, you're always welcome. If you are working or you have other obligations, we can always put you on a Google Meet. We can call in, you can be on speakerphone. You know, we can have multiple meetings. I'm getting to the point now where I have several families that are now on the, you know, second or third meeting. And like one family in particular was like, I'm gonna let him handle the first meeting and the second meeting. I think I'll probably come in for the third. Great, you know, so it's really whatever they wanna do, but the response has been wonderful. And, you know, a lot of people have been really great about reaching out through email and phone calls as well too. So, yeah, it's been really nice.
And along the same lines as what Molly was asking about, I don't think this is your role, but I'm just trying to understand, and I don't know where Brian comes into, but when it comes to like selecting your courses, like starting from 9th grade to 12th, and basically lining up to make sure you're, in my opinion, from the outside looking in, it feels like graduation requirements, they keep changing, they get increasingly complicated.
That's
like,
true, that is
yeah,
accurate.
Who helps, like, starting at 9th grade, you know, when they're scheduling as 8th graders to make sure they're on the right path for what they think, where they
Yeah.
think they're going?
Yeah. So just to help maybe make it a little bit more clear, Brian is gonna have 9th and 10th graders, and I have 11th and 12th graders. And so I'm gonna handle everything 11th and 12th. Brian's gonna have everything 9 and 10. But Brian and I have been working together so much, so it's been really great because, you know, he knows a lot of the background with students, he has that relationship already. But I've been able to sit in on a lot of his meetings when we had scheduling stuff over the summer. And, you know, I've been able to even give some ideas of like, oh, well, what about this class? Or have you thought about this? Or, you know, this drawing class would be really good for architecture, or, you know, things like that. So it's been really great. Brian's been fabulous about, you know, even though we have an 11th and 12th grade counselor, like he's always telling families, I'm still here, I can still help you. Like, we're not gonna just say, okay, we're done with Mr. Stork and now you have to work with Mrs. Drug, and we're really kind of looking at it from a team approach, which is really great. And he's just been just a lovely support with that too. So I think the kids have really, I hope, but I think they have really felt kind of wrapped around that, you know, they have now a lot of people who really care about them now in the office. So I hope that, you know, that continues and that they'll feel even more of that too.
Thank you. Any more questions?
I just wanted to take the opportunity, just to make you aware, it's a bigger topic, but
Yeah.
I think one thing that particularly the board has had an interest in is getting more information about what happens to our graduates after they graduate.
Yeah.
Kind of a, I don't know to say blind spot, but very difficult, as you know, to get that information. But, you know, we do all this stuff, we like to see what happens, are they successful, are we teaching the right things, are there things that we're missing, and I mean, I realize all the difficulties it is in getting that information.
Right.
And connecting to, you know, what's going on in colleges, but I think that continues to be an interest of all of ours, and so just want to make you aware of that, and if you
Yeah.
have any knowledge or see anything at a conference or whatever else, I think we're just very interested.
Yeah. I will say, like, it's definitely a challenge that a lot of high schools face, you know, especially ones that don't necessarily have like a development office or an alumni, you know, association that really has a full-time person dedicated, you know, to that job. But yeah, I think it's a really valuable piece. I'd like to, maybe at some point, like get to a point where like I can even have returning graduates come and speak with the current seniors about what college is like, or what the application process was like for them, or what they're doing. And not just college, but, did they do an apprenticeship? Are they a journeyman now? Like what it is that they're doing, like military, what's it really like, that kind of thing. So that would be really nice to, maybe get to do in the future. But yeah, it's a very valuable thing, and to get that feedback too of, okay, now you've spent your first year away, how was your English class in college? Did you feel prepared? How was your science classes? Did you feel prepared? And I think too, as you're in a role for a while, you organically get a lot of that feedback from students, which is really nice, that you can, get those little tidbits, but it would be nice to have something maybe a little bit more formalized too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
One last thing, Angie, I promise. I just wanted to touch on those data points. There's two things we're really going to be focused on this year and next year. Within the 9, 10, and 11, 12 counseling piece, we're focusing on student connection data, just kind of getting different touch points throughout the year on how and where and when students feel connected to an adult in the building. It's an old PBIS strategy, but we really want to tighten that up. And then also, I've been in conversations on how we tighten up our alumni data. Devin's going to be working on looking into some things, but we have a survey we do and things like that. But really, I think we're going to focus heavy on focusing on the juniors and seniors and talking about the importance of that beyond just the report card and things like that, and let them know this is why we're reaching out. This is when we're going to reach out. So it's just not like a kind of like a catch up, we need this information. So those things are in the works for sure.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, any discussion about the building department reports? Moving on to the superintendent's report.
Wanted to highlight a couple things. First, thank you, Sam and Stephanie. There was featured in the Tri-Village magazine was our instructional coach, Jessica Fields. So wanted to mention that as a spotlight. Also wanted to mention that 2 alumni of Grandview Heights High School recently shared, and they have donated $400,000 to Grandview Heights schools. It is to be used for cross-curriculum, environmental stewardship, and music. He particularly is interested in pollinator gardens or natural gardens. And his wife he is part of the class of 1959, and she is part of the class of 1960. And his wife is particularly interested in music. So there'll be an opportunity for our orchestra program as well as our music programs to tap into this donation. And Jessica Fields, ironically, who I just mentioned earlier, is serving point at ensuring that what we do includes a learning component. So why are pollinator gardens important? What are the components of a pollinator garden? And so what was native to Ohio? All of those kinds of things. And she's got some really amazing ideas to do that as well. So we're really excited about that and humbled by their generosity. My first community coffee and conversation will be Friday, September 20th from 8:30 to 9:30 in the district administration collaboration area. Wanted to also mention that the district has produced a myriad of information and newsletters to inform and educate residents about building a new Stevenson Elementary and phase 1 and 2 of improvements to our K-12 athletic master plan. Those include our In the Know fact sheet. It's a front and back sheet. It also includes a facilities master plan newsletter. And then Ms. Collier, our CFO treasurer, has just dropped a financial prospectus that will be hitting every mailbox in Marble Cliff and Grandview Heights in the coming week or so, a couple weeks. And then we also just did a short 2-minute, 5-second video that just focuses on current conditions and facts. Again, only to inform and educate. But wanted to mention that as part of my superintendent report. And then lastly, one of the unique things about being superintendent in Grandview is I get to do a lot of different things and meet a lot of different people and deal with a lot of different constituents who have strong opinions and views, and it's all wonderful. But perhaps my favorite thing to do in my 10 years as superintendent is to meet our alumni classes. And this past weekend was alumni weekend, and I had the distinct honor and privilege of spending a lot of time with the class of 1969 on Friday evening, and a lot of time with the class of 1959 on Saturday. And I've said this to you all before and at previous board meetings and to our cabinet and principals, but the genuine, real reverence and love that our graduates and alumni have for Grandview Heights is just, it's humbling. And, and just ironically, one of my dad's very best friends is a graduate of 1959. His name is Jeff Forrester. They worked together in Columbus City Schools for 35 years. And so that's kind of a neat connection that I also have with that particular class. So just wanted to mention that because it was truly, truly a wonderful time to spend. And I will also just share contextually the feedback that they gave about Larson Middle School and Grandview Heights, because really the intent was to tour, was they were blown away. Both the class of 1969 and 1959, almost in shock about how spectacular it is. And so that was really neat to see. And I think they also, in particular, very much appreciated the way we went about it in maintaining the exterior aesthetic and classic facade of Grandview Heights, as well as matching the facade of the high school at Larson with the brick. And so that they mentioned that to me several times. So anyway, really kind of a feel-good weekend, and always one of my favorite things to do.
Great. Any questions?
No, thank you for your work with the alumni groups.
Yeah. And many thanks for the alumni with their very generous donation.
Well, and Warren Klink is a member of
50.
the class of 1959.
Were they here?
And Bill and Nancy Boardman, who donated to the Outdoor Learning Center, is also in the class of 1959. And Bill and Nancy were here. And, all right, I thought I was done. But it was a really, really awesome moment where the entire class of 1959, and myself, were out in the Outdoor Learning Center, and they were all sitting down. And one of the classmates got up, read, there's a placard out there, read that placard, and Bill and Nancy are standing there, and everyone stood up and cheered and clapped and was tearful. It was really, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. It was really awesome. And then Warren Klink and his wife Caroline donated the $400,000 on Thursday, and we did the press release. And so I read that press release to the class. Many of them, most of them weren't aware of it, and then they did the same thing. So it was a really, really nice, great event.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the athletic department update.
Hello, everyone. Brad Bertani, Athletic Director at Grandview Heights, and I'm glad to be here tonight to give you a fairly quick update on athletics. So, since my last appearance before the board back in May, we've been pretty busy, and we've really been striving to meet our athletic department mission to provide a premier athletic experience for all of our student athletes. This fall, we have 148 high school and 127 middle school students participating in athletics. And I believe that the items I'm updating you on tonight will go a long way and be very impactful in fulfilling our mission to those student athletes. Starting with this past summer, we developed a new coach's manual that I passed out to you. It's very exciting reading. You probably want to read it tonight, all 35 pages or whatever it is. But it's been very helpful to collect all of our policies and procedures and put them in one place for our coaches. We met with all of our coaches on July 31st and had an all-coaches meeting, including head and assistant middle school and high school coaches. And we currently have and manage 80 paid middle school and high school coaches in the district. I reviewed the new manual in detail with the coaches, and also reviewed several other topics. Beth Collier came and spoke about our athletic finances, and our athletic trainer, Matt Klein, spoke about our training and safety policies at the meeting. We are continually evaluating our policies and procedures to improve our athletic experience for our kids. For example, we're looking at our policies and procedures for coaches who may need to make cuts in their program. We have a policy in our coaches manual currently, but we're going to look at it and make it the process more clear for our coaches and our families so that they know what to do if they have to make cuts. We generally don't have to make cuts in Grandview. We're usually looking for more and more student athletes on all the teams. But when we do, it's important that we have a process that's understood by all and that's consistent as possible. Last month, I did notify all of our coaches that if they are going to think they're going to have to make cuts, that they propose a plan to me and make sure that I approve it before any cuts are made. So I re-emphasized that with them after our July 31st meeting. So hopefully they're all clear about that as we go forward. Further, we established a middle school athletic parents committee, which has been really good. We have met twice already in July and August and had very productive meetings, a lot of conversation, great conversation. And I think that's a really good thing to get our middle school community parents that are new to sports, and they can serve as beacons of light to the other parents in the community to talk, so they have knowledge about how athletics operates at Grandview. Beth, again, was gracious enough and came and spoke about fundraising and our athletic budget processes, and that was very informative for our parents that were there. There are currently 16 members on that committee, so it's really spans all of our sports in 7th, 8th, and 8th grade boys and girls sports. So it's a really good committee, and we're meeting again at the end of this month. We're planning on meeting every month during the school year, and maybe once in the summer. We'll see if we can get everyone together. That's kind of a difficult time, but we also developed a parents' athletic survey that's going to go out next Monday on September 16th. We're going to send that out twice per semester, or twice per sports season. Mid-season and at the end of the season, parents will get a short survey and also have a chance to put any written comments in there about how their child's season is going. So that'll be great feedback for us and the coaches, and it's a proactive step to heading off any kind of issues that might come up during the season, instead of waiting just to do one at the end of the season. We started a formal orientation program for new coaches to help onboard them so that they can start their tenure as a coach on a good note. And, we get more in depth with them as they go on, but we want to make sure we have that checklist that we go over with them and they sign off on that we go over a number of important areas for a new coach. We brought back the in-person OHSA Code of Conduct meeting, which I'm sure a lot of parents were happy about that, but it is very important, and it's great to have put faces to names and things like that instead of doing it online, which COVID kind of forced us to do. So I thought that went really well. We talked about OHSA rules, our Grandview Heights Code of Conduct, and all of our athletic department policies and procedures. We've been sending out a weekly AD3 via Parent Square that goes out to all the parents. And so we pick out 3 topics each week, every Monday, to send out to update on various different topics, and that's been received pretty well, I think. We hired a new middle school athletic director, Cade Cantor. Cade is a Reedy grad, but he also played football at High Dominican. He has a sports management degree from there. He did an internship at Franklin Heights High School, and he's been doing a great job. He's also a full-time building sub here. So he's getting to know all the kids and parents and things like that. So I've been really impressed by Cade's work so far. We did just recently facilitate a college sports recruiting information session for the middle school, high school students and their parents. That was on August 27th. That was well attended and received. A quick facilities update. Of course, I think most of you have seen the new track out there. It's fantastic. It's just such a huge upgrade from what we had. It's unbelievable. Go out there and walk on it, you'll feel it immediately. But there's a couple punch list items that still need to be completed but it's 99% done, and it's really been great, and our kids are using it, and it's fantastic. So our high school gym wall has been completed, and that has been, went about 3/4 of the way up, as you remember, up in the Wellness Center. And I stood up there the other night when volleyball was going on, and you could not hear the volleyball going on from up there. So that should really help with the noise when we have wrestling and weightlifting up there, basketball going on, 100 basketballs bouncing. That'll be great for everybody. Finally, I just want to recognize some of our fall sports highlights so far this year. Our high school and middle school football teams, they're both undefeated right now. The high school team is ranked first in our playoff region, so that's exciting. Our girls cross-country team is ranked 5th in the state in Division III. Our 7th and 8th grade middle school volleyball teams each have winning records, as do the boys and girls middle school soccer teams. And our high school boys and girls soccer teams are both ranked first in the Central District rankings. So we're off to a really good fall, and excited to see where we end up, but I think everything's been going fairly smoothly this year, and our coaches are doing a great job, and our kids are putting in a lot of work, and we're seeing results. So that's my quick update. I think we've got a lot of things done since the last meeting, and I'll take any questions that you might have.
All right, when you were talking about that survey, the 2 surveys per season, was that specific to high school, middle school, or both?
Both.
It's
Middle
for
school
both.
and high school will get that
So
survey.
all parents who have a student participating in, like, say, a fall sport will get that? And
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yep.
All right.
We'll probably send that out in our AD3 update, so everyone gets that too.
Yeah, and I really like the 83 update, by the way, and the one this past week that said all those things you said about where people are ranked and stuff. I
Yeah.
love that, because without having a local newspaper like we used to,
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to keep up with
Yeah.
how everything's going, because you'd have to go and look at them all individually, or it doesn't show up in the Facebook feed or whatever, and I have to go search. So I really, really loved seeing that, and I would say at like different points, including that, every now and then, and regularly, because sometimes it's easy to lose track of like how everybody's doing, and when you know a lot of the kids, it's like exciting to know.
Yeah. When we had the This Week News
Oh, yeah.
publication, that was so great,
Oh, I know,
especially for
we all
sports.
miss it. We all miss it
They
so
would do
much.
previews and reviews, and all the kids got their names mentioned, so,
Mm-hmm.
and the dispatch is hard to access for a lot of people too, so anyways,
Right, yeah.
I totally agree with you.
I've been loving the
Okay,
83, that's been
good.
good.
Thanks.
Other questions? Thank you, Brad.
Okay, thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay. Beth's treasure presentation.
Okay, I just have a pretty brief report. Want to share some highlights as of the end of August. So we're 2 months into the new fiscal year, and we're right on track with where we expect to be at this point. We've gotten our second half tax settlement, and we're just under 45% of our fiscal year budget, and that is very typical. The second half of the calendar year settlement, which is our first of our fiscal year, is typically a little bit under 50%. Usually it's about 45-55 split. So that's right where we expect it to be. Our state funding is also where we expect it to be. We are yet to receive the homestead and rollback reimbursement. That's typically within a few weeks after the final tax settlement, so that will be coming soon. We did get the Grandview Yard settlement as well from the second half, and we're just under 51% of our fiscal year budget, so that's great news. And then interest for the month, $67,608.57, and we are just shy of $150,000 for the 2 months for the fiscal year to date. So great news as the interest rates, stay kind of where they have been. Really taking advantage of that ability to generate some revenue. Expenditures were within less than 1% different from our fiscal year-to-date budget. And what I would say is within the next week or so, I'm going to be updating our 5-year forecast, tweaking that for this year in terms of what our final staffing, what our final numbers are, all of those things, and so these numbers will adjust just a little bit, but not a whole lot. So, investments, again, I mentioned the Star Ohio, is still at almost 5.5%, which is really great. That's liquid. I can, transfer money in and out of there on a daily basis as needed. And then our investment account is at about 3.25%, average yield in there. And then, the permanent improvement fund, our unencumbered fund balance, or our available fund balance, is about $142,000. This has gone up since the last month as well because of that second half tax settlement.
We just had something go wrong at Stevenson.
And then, really just our ongoing or upcoming, projects that we're focusing on right now at a PI are the, finishing up that track replacement Brad talked about. We have, as of the end of August, we had not paid for a whole lot of it. I have paid 2 more draws since the end of August, between September 1st and now. So in the last week or so, I have paid the substantial balance of that. There is another one that just came yesterday, and there is a retainage amount. So until all that punch list stuff is done, we will be holding a portion of that. And then, just continuing to work with Jim and the team on interior design work. There's some different components of that, not only the hallways and the composites and the, I think the chair rail type thing, but there's some work being done in the offices too. And so, kind of coordinating all that and all the designers and the fabricators and the different pieces and parts that go with that. So, so anyway, we will have another PI committee meeting mid-November to kind of look at what we have planned and, you know, what's needed and make appropriate updates at that point. So, so that's really all I have.
One related, if I may, Beth,
sure.
update is this wall that we have discussed, I feel like, for a long time, is done. It is in production, and we are under budget, and it is scheduled to be done this winter break.
Nice.
That feels like.
That will
10
make a huge difference
It
in
will.
the
Feels like 10
space.
years in the making.
Yeah,
It
well, it
feels
seems like it, doesn't it?
It does feel like
But
it.
that will make a,
The design that's going up again?
I'll share it with you all
Okay.
tomorrow.
Cool.
Good, Katie.
I don't
Thank
know, I
you.
feel-
I should have already done that.
I still
No, no, no,
remember
it's-
the original iteration,
I
which
remember the
I'm sure
original,
is
but I
way
don't
different
remember
now.
what was laid. Can you share it with
Yeah.
all of us?
Of course.
I mean, Katie's special, but also.
I just couldn't remember if it was like,
100%.
I don't know.
And
Because I think I remember.
I only remember the, like,
Yeah.
way back to like,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Similar,
original. Good.
After-
That's exciting.
It is
it's
exciting.
very
It'll make a
exciting,
huge
'cause that's
difference.
a really
It's a lot of wood.
large white wall.
It's
right
been a
now.
journey. It's been a journey.
A lot of large.
It's kind of like the 1969 mosaic that was in the front foyer of the high school.
Yes.
It's now hanging on a wall across from the high school band room, and it looks fantastic.
To go see it.
Now, it was a journey, and I mean journey, getting that done.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to go look at it. I went and looked at all the composites, but I've got to do a
Doesn't it look
tour, because
great?
the other composites look great, but I
That
want
makes
to go
such
see
a
the
huge
gym and
difference.
see the
This is
mosaic.
as far
I mean,
as I've
it
gotten.
really it's unbelievable the difference that makes.
Yeah,
No.
Right,
we're
Angie?
We're home now. We can hang our stuff up.
Yeah, it does. It makes it feel more homey.
And there are some more components in the overall interior design plan, and what we have done as a team is kind of prioritize what are the, you know, what are the things that we want to do this year, and what can we budget in our PI fund to
Right.
cover this year. And so the priorities again were the composites, the offices, and then this wall. We have things planned for the next couple years too, to kind of keep building on that.
Great.
So just kind of spreading that out over a few years to get that whole project done. So, and then the other thing that I will just share, the Finance Committee did not meet this month. Our next meeting is on the 23rd, which is just a couple weeks away, to review the 5-year forecast.
Great.
City time of year. Well, and then after the, your permanent improvement committee meets, since I'm not on finance committee anymore, I don't know that that would be a part of your next presentation or not, but I'm curious to see, like, if you have a list of priorities and
Yeah,
what that
for
looks like.
Yep.
Who's on the permanent improvement? Because I just looked at Bodie and said,
It's
is
just
that
a,
us?
It's
so
an
that's,
internal.
it's just an internal, so it's Andy, me, Chris, Jim Buffer,
Brad.
Brad, is typically in there.
So none of us made the cut.
So-
But you are on finance committee, so I
Yeah,
bet,
so I do
I'll bet
always-
she says something to you guys about
Yeah.
You
it.
sound bitter, little bit.
I miss it, I miss it.
So we do share, once we
Yeah.
kind of prioritize internally, come up with a plan, a budget, I
That's
do
right.
share that with the finance committee then, yeah. But I'll share that.
Mr.
with-
Bodie would
She'll
like
share
to
with me
attend
too.
more meetings. He told me in his way.
Well, he does have a new normal
his
recently.
Yeah,
He's got beaches to see.
yeah. You do have committees we're signing you up for.
That's what happens when you're on vacation.
Oh, yeah, speaking of that, by the way,
You're the
Casey
OSBA
Dubs.
delegate.
you're not actually, I'm the delegate, so, I'm sorry.
I tried to get you voted.
But if you want-
Although the picture didn't help.
Yeah, it was right as we were adjourning.
I
Mr.
know, we were
Bodie.
like, make him the delegate.
Yeah. I said, I don't think he wants to, so I'll do it.
Like, that's, no.
But if you wanna go, you're welcome.
Why, thank you.
Any more questions about the treasurer's presentation?
No.
Okay, thank you, Beth. There's not a finance committee report then, I take it, since there was no meeting?
Unfortunately, there is not.
Okay, so we just have, the business and finance items to approve, so C 1 through, 10.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I was just gonna ask about the New Story Schools. Is that, I don't remember that name from before. Is this a new?
So it's just a new name.
Oh,
It
okay.
is an educational placement that our students have been to in the past.
Oh, okay.
I think Rob's not here. I think it is,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is, it's one that, the name has changed, but it's.
Yeah.
Learning,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
yeah. So we have, done business with them
Okay.
for a long period of time.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, then Beth, please call the roll.
Mr. Bodie?
Aye.
Mrs. Gephardt?
Aye.
Mrs. Matney?
Aye.
And Ms. Wassman?
Aye.
Okay, and moving on to personnel, we have items A1 through, I will never learn and look at the number ahead of time. 1 through a lot.
97,
1
13.
through 13, right?
13.
Yeah, 1 through 13.
So moved.
I can second it.
Okay, I was like, someone, come on, we gotta pay people. Remind me, before we go through, this, a lot of these, a vast majority of these are supplementals that have been agreed upon through the GHEA collective bargaining agreement and the GHESSA collective bargaining agreement. So it's a 1-year contract and everybody automatically is not renewed. But there is a renewal process or an application process.
So
Correct.
the non-renewal is automatic?
Right.
It's in, the language is in the contract each year,
Mhm.
and then, so every one of these come from the GHEA, all the
Mhm.
supplementals from there, and, so each year it's based on new recommendations from the building principals, the administrators, the athletic director.
So there is a process and there is an application, and if I am not mistaken, the 25 year will be a new negotiation year.
Correct. And this
Okay.
one, yeah.
So these, typically, it's not common for us to go in and open these up, the supplementals. The last time we did the CBA, there was a lot of cleaning up of the supplementals, adding new, if I'm not mistaken. Was that the last negotiation period?
Well,
So
every
about-
negotiations, what we do is we take a look at whether there've been a pattern of unfilled
Okay.
or need.
Mhm.
And, you know, we collaborate around that
Okay.
as a team and make decisions and, but last year, we did that as well,
For whatever reason, and this could just be
or last year.
last
Last
cycle,
negotiation.
Seems like
if
last
I
year.
remember it
It does.
correctly, which does feel like last year. I felt like there was a lot of, I'm using cleaning up, and that might not be the right term, but there was a lot
There were
of
definitely
things.
some adjustments made to,
Adjustments.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can talk to you, I'm not scared.
so the camp advisors, I believe, were one
Yeah.
of the
No,
changes.
but there was,
I mean, the good news is, look, this is certainly my opinion, I just, so yes, and that is generally very collaborative.
yeah, and I didn't mean that it wasn't collaborative, if my memory served a lot, there was a lot of like, we added in esports, which
We did.
wouldn't have been in
For
years
example.
past.
Do you do that?
Sewing club,
Yeah.
and like, it was a very student-centered focus.
Yes.
And very, in my opinion, not necessarily classical clubs, if I remember right. This is where I'm trying to place it, and
Yeah.
I also could be making things up.
No,
'cause
I think
I'm
you're
good
right
at
on.
that.
Here's a different way maybe to say it, that is, I feel like the supplementals that we added were very reflective
Yeah.
of what was happening in the buildings and the
Correct.
needs, and some of which even driven by students.
A lot of that, and I bring this up just because as you look, there's a lot of supplementals. And there's a lot of things that I'm like, ooh, I want to do that. Garden club specifically, not AM duty, just so we're clear on this.
Club?
The Lego League, but I wanted to make sure that I had it correct, that, because I wanted to say this is a very encompassing list, and I'm proud to see it of our school district. But I also did want to clarify publicly, every year, it's not you have this supplemental and it's yours until you
Right.
quit it. Like, there's a process, there's evaluations. That's why I wanted to clear up publicly. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's about demand too, and what kids, like what kids are interested in,
Cooking
what they wanna
club,
do,
I will
yeah.
be right there, Kevin Richards.
Well, the question I have, I mean, it mostly prompted, we just had a presentation from Brad and a lot of good updates. There's not only, we have the system of all the sports, and each individual, one of the coaches and everything, but also the oversight of that and follow-up, and there's, the manual, there's expectations, and there's the survey, and all this is really great on the sports side. I think this highlights that there's a lot of activities that go on the non-sports side. And so, could you just talk a little bit about, like, any of those concepts that bleed over into the non-sports activities and kind of what we do as a district to oversee that?
Sure. So I'll use Lego League or Science Olympiad as a middle school of an academic team event where there is a supplemental. So the middle school principal would oversee that, evaluate the person or persons that realize that supplemental, and make a determination whether they want to continue with that person or make a change. The obvious one for high school, of course, is FIRST Robotics. In terms of, there are supplementals associated with that academic team sport as well, and the high school principal, again, would evaluate that annually. There is an evaluation process as well. OMUN is a new, Molly, supplemental that we added when last we negotiated at the high school, and the high school principal would again evaluate success. Now, there are some inherent metrics outside of, say, the principal's evaluation in terms of how the OMUM team does on a national competition stage, or FIRST Robotics does locally, nationally. But surveying the kids and getting qualitative and quantitative feedback about how things are going is also part of that.
It is part of that now?
I believe. I don't know that it occurs as systemic and structured, in other words, like what Brad said, where there's 2 surveys per season. But generally, at the conclusion of those, there are surveys, yes. And there might not be 2 like Brad is doing.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think, I'm partly, just stocking racking my brain for how things were 12 years ago and 8 years ago and whatever.
I think even 4 years ago.
That's true. 4 years ago was the last one. A good experience overall. I mean, I'm nothing, negative that this is coming from. It's just, I don't remember that much in terms of like outreach to parents, Well, what I will say, one of the new things that Sam and his team did, and Sean at the high school, is they had a club fair during lunch. And so every club had a table and literature and information about what it is they're
club was. So students could familiarize themselves with what options they are. Now, we haven't done that before. That was the first time that we've done it, and that was maybe 2 weeks ago.
I like that, yeah. There
So
are a lot. Yeah.
that was an example of, because we have, to Molly's point, we did extend the supplemental offerings. One of the drivers there in particular was clubs. And so this kind of feeds that narrative.
And the clubs meet, the high school clubs meet during lunch,
Typically,
so that way it's not conflicting if you have an athlete who wants to do this
oh,
or
right,
that.
yeah, that's correct.
Also work, homework, whatever.
Yeah.
Our clubs are student-driven.
Right.
Sam mentioned the PBIS survey, where we ask about belonging, and we ask them, what teacher do you have, what are you involved in? And then we look for kids who are not involved in anything, and we say, what would you be interested in? How can we get you interested? What develops the new cooking club, or the yarn club came out of that.
Yarn stuck in my craw where I
Yeah.
was like, I remember the yarn and the sewing, and then we were looking for the sewing machines, and then it was a supplemental, and it was like, full cycle.
Well, and there's I mean, in the range of clubs, there's kind of a big difference between, I don't mean to belittle any club by any means, and it's wonderful to have a yarn club, but there's a difference between a yarn club and First Robotics. One is a little more like, yeah, we all come together and we like to do this, and, you know, the other one has events that you're competing in. So, you know, when it comes to what the expectations are for how they're communicating with parents, you know, that it's a little different depending on which
But
is
the
which.
robotics started as a yarn club.
Good.
That was someone messing around in some teacher's classroom.
Well, and for all I
during
know,
lunch.
there's some competition
Yeah.
somewhere about knitting. I would
There
not
is.
doubt it by any means.
They needed Joanne's.
People are passionate about it.
Yes.
They are.
Yes, no, thank you for indulging me on that whole conversation.
I know we still have to vote on it.
I'm
So,
ready to vote.
okay, we have had a motion and a second already, so Beth, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Bodie?
Aye.
Mrs. Gephardt?
Aye.
Mrs. Matney?
Aye.
And Ms. Wassmer?
Aye.
Okay, is there a policy committee report?
There is not, we have not met since the last meeting.
Okay, how about teaching and learning?
There is, so we just
Okay.
met on Monday. A lot of what was shared was addressed by Stephanie, that Angie passed along in the meeting, talking about what they're passionate about and having that lead what their college choice is. We talked about school links. I was blown away by how she's using school links, so I think that's really great. I don't know if you recall, I can't remember if we talked about it at the board level, about the opportunity, I think we did, the opportunity for students to participate in a UC Past Foundation class, and we had 2 students who are participating in that. So when they're finished, they'll have their freshman and most of their sophomore year complete, which is great. And so thanks to Angie getting support with all the things that she's looking to achieve, the Past Foundation has invited Angie and Devin to a national conference, and I guess Jessica Fields is gonna be focused on that as well. So, I said in the meeting that, you know, Angie kind of like manifested with a lot of hard work behind it, all of these opportunities for our students, and it was a lot, and it's been a while, but it feel like you did it in a very decent amount of time. So thank you for all the time that you've put into that our students now have these opportunities, and who knows with this national conference. I'm sure you're gonna come back super excited about great ideas. We talked about late start professional developments and teachers being able to choose their own adventures. So they've identified 7 different options that they can focus on for one thing throughout the year. So that includes grading practices, wellness, struggling readers in middle school, struggling readers in elementary, etc. So that'll be something for our teachers to focus on this year. We're in the middle of the state requiring ELA programs, and we're in the process of testing them through the WIT and Wisdom and Advanced Benchmark. And then finally, preliminary results are out for the local report card. Everything looks solid. We've actually improved. And Angie will give more of a district detailed report at our next October meeting. So
Said
great work.
ELA with wit and wisdom, not EL.
Did I say
I don't
ELA?
know what you said,
I
that's
think
why
I said
asking.
ELA.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, thank you for your report.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice job.
Nice teaser for
Nice
next month,
notes.
too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come.
Yeah.
I won't
Be
skip
there,
that
be
one.
square.
Okay, we have our co-curricular and extracurricular activities recommendations 1 through,
Four.
just 4, 1 through 4.
No one's on the list.
None
It's
of
sitting
us,
here.
none of us are on the
Mr.
list.
Bodie, it's time for you to start volunteering again.
Is there a, motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Second.
Okay, great. Any, conversation?
We're going to Costa Rica?
Yeah, look at that.
I have a question that's not in this portion, but was in a Parent Square update recently, and we've talked about it at past boards. Is now the time for questions?
Yeah.
Do just ask, okay. The inauguration trip, can you give a little bit more texture to who all is going? Because isn't there a bunch of students who are going?
Yeah, so that is Evan Smith.
Okay,
So high school, and I'm not prepared, so let
Sorry.
me just qualify this.
Yeah.
And maybe more experienced superintendent would say, because I don't have all the facts, it's best that I follow up with you,
Safe
but I'm
space.
gonna go for it nonetheless.
yes,
I think it's an Evan Smith group, and I wanna say it's like 14. I don't think it's a huge group, or is it? But it's not a huge group. It's like, I don't know exactly how many students, but I
Okay.
want to say it's between like 14 and 24, kind of.
Okay.
The class.
And
that-
it's a smaller group of students that he's taking. The caveat of my signing off on that was, they needed to be able to cancel and be fully refunded in advance, and that, Evan and Sam, Belk was involved, that was, fully approved. In fact, they were a little surprised at how amenable they were, because I had required that of them.
so we can cancel it?
That's correct.
Okay.
In advance, at no penalty.
And like parents individually could also, even if like the whole group decides to go, but there are 2 parents who say, I really don't feel comfortable.
That is my understanding.
Okay.
Why did I think this was the class that like they would have been 8th grade COVID or 9th grade COVID?
They were 8th grade
I
COVID.
think you are correct.
It would have been the,
I
yeah,
thought
like
it was-
21, I think.
I
It's
thought
the
it was
current
open
seniors.
to
Yeah.
the
I
other
will tell
class.
you this, I will get you like hard.
I'm asking just because like
Yeah.
we changed the 8th grade trip based on the date to DC, and then I hear about this and a lot of people are like, what?
Yeah.
And you don't want them to not participate. I think it's a great opportunity. It's just in this current times.
I will,
our
tomorrow end of the
liability.
day, by tomorrow end of the day, have an email to you guys with specifics.
That's okay. I'm mostly curious about like liability.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I remember us talking about this when it was originally on the agenda, that trip in particular, talking about the cancellation policy. And also, I think a big difference between the 8th grade trip and this group is that it's the whole 8th grade trip, whereas this was a small group of
Smaller
students
group.
who are opting in.
That's right.
As
They're
opposed
opting.
to.
They're opting in, it isn't a required whole, correct.
but it is excused for them to go.
Correct.
Okay, great.
And it's, yeah, cause I was the one that was like, can we cancel?
Yeah.
Cause I like to be nervous for no reason.
Well, sure, and, arguably the inauguration
Could be
could be
great.
crazier than what the 8th graders were gonna go the day after the election, but,
Yeah, we moved that,
Yeah.
right, yeah, we know.
which was good move.
We all know.
Yeah.
Except for Eric.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, they
thank
go
you. Sorry to
October
do
23rd.
that.
No,
I
yeah.
appreciate any,
Yep.
info.
Okay, so any other comments? Okay, Beth, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Bodie?
Aye.
Mrs. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mrs. Matney?
Aye.
Ms. Westmeyer?
I,
Okay, is there any other items anyone would like to discuss? No executive session is required this evening, so is there a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second.
All right, Beth, please call the roll.
Mr. Bodie?
Aye.
Mrs. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mrs. Matney?
Aye.
Ms. Westmeyer?
Aye.
Okay, we are finished for this evening.
Awesome.